Is your garden ready for spring? Hi, and welcome to the Garden Fix. I'm Rob, and I'm in Zone 6B, Western Pennsylvania. Hey, Garden Fixers. Today I'm going to give you 5 things you should consider doing to get your garden ready for spring. All right, let's get right to it. Number 1 on the list I have is cleanup. So it's time to start cleaning up all the dead growth from the perennials from last year and the annuals. Get those annuals out. Kristen and I really feel like we're getting close to the end of winter. So we started doing that, and we cut back a lot of things and cleaned up the garden a good bit this past week. You can decide whether or not you want to use that for mulch. You can just keep that in the garden if you want to. Keep in mind that a lot of that dead growth does harbor some beneficial insects from the previous year. So I wouldn't necessarily get rid of it. What we like to do is just toss it over our fence we have right outside the garden in this little wild area, and that way the insects are still part of the garden. So the second thing that you should think about doing is using fertilizer in your garden in early spring. And we use Plant Tone by Espoma, and we just toss the granules out throughout the garden, spread it out a little bit fairly evenly. But you need to consider this. When you are spreading fertilizer in your garden, those granules take at least 2 weeks to break down and get into the soil. So if you're spreading these granules of fertilizer and your garden isn't even alive yet, it's still in hibernation from winter, it's kind of a waste. So make sure that things are starting to grow before you fertilize. It's kind of a mistake some people make. They might do it in winter, and then it's pointless. All right, so number 3 on the list is pruning trees and shrubs. Now, this is a great time to prune trees. I like to prune our ornamental plum tree that we have in the front, our red bud, and the reason is because there's no leaves on them right now. It's pretty easy to get in there and know what kind of branches that you're going to cut and how you want to shape your tree. If you want to get in and air out the center of the tree, it's a good time to do that. However, you have to keep in mind that with these flowering trees, of course, when you cut off the branches, that you're cutting off a lot of buds with that. So you're going to sacrifice some flowering in spring. Now, for example, our ornamental plum tree is still going to look beautiful. We have a ton of branches that will still have flowers on it. So I like to do it then instead of later, whenever it's covered with leaves and it's difficult to get in there and see where the branches are going. So it's a great time right now to prune trees, if you ask me. Now, like I said, this is also a great time to prune shrubs, but not all shrubs. So you don't want to prune shrubs that flower on old wood, such as weigela, oak leaf hydrangeas, smoke bush, fothergilla. All right, so you don't want to prune those because the flowers are on that old wood, and if you cut those back, you're not going to get your blooms. Now, some things that we have in our garden that I will prune are our yellow twig dogwoods, our red twig dogwoods, woodlea, butterfly bush, our spirea, and even climbing roses. It's a great time to do climbing roses. I think I'm going to do a video on pruning our climbing roses as we head into spring. Now, just to take, for example, this yellow twig dogwood, I already cut back some of it. I might do more, but this guy will just grow like crazy, and the flowers will appear on the ends of new growth, and the berries will form as well. So you can cut this back. You can even cut this back to like 6 inches to the ground if you want to. So you do want to keep in mind with these yellow twig and red twig dogwoods too, that as you can see, they have these beautiful yellow stems right now, and these are the newer stems, the younger stems. So if you see any stems that are woody and turning brown, those are probably good ones you want to get rid of as you head into the year, and then you'll have some beautiful yellow ones when we get the winter of next year. Another plant that I'll wait on cutting back is azalea. So our azaleas are budded up from last year, and they're going to bloom too. in spring, and then after that spring I can reshape it if I want to at that point. Number 4 on the list is mulching. And the reason that you might think about mulching right now is because right now there's a lot of weeds that have seeds spread across the mulch from last year at the end of the year. And if you get a nice layer of mulch down on them, you can stop that from germinating and make weeding a little less annoying this year. However, you do have to keep in mind that if you are going to be dropping down an inch of mulch, there's a good chance that you not only are you going to stop your weeds from germinating, but anything that you were hopeful was going to reseed in your garden. So keep that in mind. It's kind of a double-edged sword. So think about that. Maybe think about where you're going to want to drop a good amount of mulch. Of course, mulch makes the garden look great too. So, but keep those things in mind. It is a pretty good time though to mulch your garden and get things ready. And I like to have the garden looking great like that as spring starts to come around. So I'm going to give you number 5 right now, but there is one more thing after this one I do want to mention. So stick around for that. But number 5 on the list is thinking about moving plants and redesigning your garden at this time. This is a great time to move almost everything. When things are starting to grow, you can move them safely, usually into a new location. And we're going to be doing that in the next couple weeks. We're going to be moving a lot of things and reorganizing things and looking to see, hey, do we really need 2 or 3 of these plants? It's a great time to think about making new paths in your garden, or just thinking about, hey, does that go with that? So keep that in mind. A great time to think about redesigning, adding, and getting rid of some plants. So the last thing I wanted to mention quickly is that it's not too late to winter sow for most people. All right, so think about that. Most seeds that you want to winter sow that are perennials might need some cold stratification. And a lot of times the cold stratification really only needs to be for about a month, sometimes even less. So, but the last thing, don't forget, if you ordered stuff, go back through your emails. I know I had to go back and look and say, hey, what did I order? Oh yeah, I have these dahlias coming. So keep that in mind. There are things that might be in the mail on the way in the next few weeks. All right, garden fixers, that's all I have for you today. Thanks a lot for joining me and watching. Hit the like button, subscribe. I really appreciate it. Kristen really appreciates it. Keep in mind, we have a lot of videos coming. We're just starting to head into the year, so we'll try to produce as many as we can. And until next time, I'll see you in the garden.